Joy to the world. Sun. Hello. Hello, Merry Christmas. We're going to start our service today by singing some carols. So if you'd like to turn in your gray hymnal to number 235 or direct your attention to the screen, we'll start with Deck the Hall. Deck the hall with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing, rejoin us all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, indeed. Let's sing the first Noel. Number 237, turn the page if you'd like. Or again, the words are on the screen. We'll sing all three verses. The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields to the world. 245. And the words are a little bit different in our hymnal. If you're visiting us, you may sing any version you like.
Welcome once again to this Christmas Eve. As we wait for the rebirth of hope, as we look for a star in the heavens, as we find once again the shimmering light within that will remind us that joy is possible, forgiveness is possible, love is possible, peace is possible. This is the time for an element of wishful thinking, a time to realize that we are creatures in the making somewhere this side of perfection, a time to cling to that hope that we can move beyond the failures of our past and emerge from the ashes kinder, gentler, a little more understanding, a little more content, a little more compassionate. A time to realize that we can carry the beauty, the joy, the mystery of this season with us into a new year. The world always seems so beautiful, so holy on this cold winter night. We look into each other's faces and wish one another peace, joy, and goodwill. We can carry those wishes with us throughout the season and throughout the coming year.
The Christmas story tells us to believe in the impossible, in the inconceivable. It tells us to open our minds and hearts to greater possibilities than we ever could have imagined. It tells us that a simple baby, born in poverty in a simple stable, surrounded by animals, can carry within him the light and love of the divine. It tells us that this is true of each and every one of us. The Christmas story and the Christmas season cause us to examine our lives and decide how we choose to live them. Do we choose the possibility of peace, kindness, generosity, and love? Or do we bow our heads in resignation, knowing that hate and greed are inevitable in our world? Do we choose to live without hope, or decide that our lives are full of hope and possibility, that the risk of love is a risk worth taking each and every day?
Because no one is ever really ready for Christmas. If we were really all prepared, if every gift we had contemplated had been obtained, if every present was beautifully beribboned, if all the goodies our friends deserve were baked and cooled and stored just so, if each and every person we love was gathered for our celebration, if we never snapped at someone we cared about, nor stopped short of being all that we could be, if our minds were 100% loving, and our hearts were 100% generous, then truly they would be ready, and truly we would not need Christmas quite so much.
So may we welcome in Christmas, most needed of seasons. May it come with the reminder that love does not depend on perfection, but on willingness to risk connection. May it enter into the unready manger of our hearts, that we may feel the warmth of new life and give flesh to the promise of hope that cries to bring healing into our world.
Welcome Christmas. Welcome love. Welcome hope. May all these be born in our unready hearts on this silent and holy night. And we invite you now to rise in all the ways we do, to join together in our words of chalice lighting. In the winter season of the year, dark and chilly, let us come into Christmas here.
Let this light and warmth brighten our lives and our world.
Let us find in the dark corners of our souls the light of hope, a vision of the extraordinary in the ordinary. Let us find rest in the quiet of a holy moment to find promise and renewal. Let us find the child in each of us the new hope, the new light, born in us. Then will Christmas come.
And now let's sing together our opening hymn, number 226, People Look East. The time is near of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able. Trim the hearth and set the table. People look east and sing today. Love the guest is on the way. First be glad the earth is bare. One more seed is planted there. Give up your strength, the seed to nourish, that in course the flower may flourish. People look east and sing today. Love the roses on the way. Stars keep the watch when night is dim. One more light the bowl shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. East and sing today, love the star is on the way.
In the early days of the Christian tradition, there were a collection of monks who went out into the desert of Egypt to live lives of simplicity and prayer in pursuit of the God of their understanding. Most of their fasting and meditation and study was done apart, separately. But some still lived together, offering support and counsel to one another. And so, the story goes that one day a monk named Abbot Lot visited another named Abbot Joseph and asked him, "Father, according as I am able, I keep my little rule and my little fast, my prayer, meditation, and contemplative silence. And according as I am able, I strive to cleanse my heart of thoughts. Now, what more should I do?" The elder rose up in reply and stretched out his hands to heaven, and his fingers became like 10 lamps of flame, and he said, "Why not be totally changed into fire?" Each year, the official season of Christmas, the shopping season, is about as far from a monastic experience as you can get. And each year it seems to grow a bit longer. So that tonight we come together with Christmas nearly accomplished. Whatever presents there will be have been made or bought. The carols have already been in our ears and our minds for a month at least. That tree, if we have one, is trimmed. The family is gathered, or it is not going to be. The goose or the ham, the tofurkey or the general sows will shortly be eaten. To celebrate the holiday, what more should we do? And the answer comes, why not be totally changed into fire? Why not be suffused with the joy of the light in the darkness? Why not be filled with the hope of singing in the night? Why not share in the radiant company of friends and strangers? Why not be transformed this season and this hour so that the light that is in every one of us might shine forth for all the world to see, so that the infinitely generous, impossibly compassionate, irrepressibly hopeful spirit of Christmas might endure beyond the duration of the trees and the sails and the songs on the radio. We come together on this night each year to be reminded that all people, those who have much and those who have little, those who are exalted and those who are ignored, those whom we love and those whom we have not yet learned to love, all people are children of the same human family, and all children are holy. We come together that our hearts might be changed from cold stone into blazing fire. I trust that you all already know that it is Christmas Eve. But maybe some of you don't know that it is also the seventh night of Hanukkah. This is one of the many years on the calendar where the two festivals intersect. I think that a lot of us know the story of Hanukkah, and if you don't, go ahead and consult your local library. They've got a lot of good books on it. The story I want to tell you now is a Hanukkah story, just not the Hanukkah story. You see, this one takes place in a town called Chelm. If you haven't heard of Chelm before, it is an imaginary place, a place that never was and yet always in some sense is, that is set somewhere in the dim mists of history in Eastern Europe, maybe 300 or so years ago. A town in which everyone who lives there, from the most benighted elder to the newest newborn infant, everyone who lives in Chelm is a fool, as you will see in this story. So, if you don't know, the festival of Hanukkah happens each year during the time when it is the very darkest, because it happens around the new moon. The new moon actually was just last night. It happens right when there's the least light in the sky and closest to the winter solstice, when the nights are the longest. These two things together make for the darkest possible time. So it happened that the baker of Chelm and the butcher of Chelm were having a dispute with each other about which light was the most important. The baker said the sun is the most important. And the butcher said the moon. The baker said the sun is obviously the most important because it lights up the day and we do everything we need to do almost during the day. But the butcher said the moon is the most important because it is so powerful that it controls the tides of the ocean. And they couldn't agree, and so they went to see the rabbi. There was just one rabbi in Chelm, the wisest fool in the whole town. And they went and they put the question to the rabbi, which is the greatest light? Is it the sun or the moon? And the rabbi thought and thought and thought and said, well, obviously, the sun is important because it gives us light during the day. But the day is the time when we need light the least. It's already bright outside. So the moon must be the most important light. And the butcher liked that answer, but the baker wasn't satisfied. And they said, okay, well, we need to have a whole panel of rabbis then to decide this question for us. But I already told you there's only one rabbi in Chelm, so it didn't get settled. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But the baker wasn't prepared to just lay it down. He kept working on the rabbi and working on him, you know, catching him at coffee hour and talking his ear off about what he was concerned about. And he was so dedicated in doing this, he followed him all the way on a trip out of town. The rabbi had to take a trip to another town, and so the baker went along with him, and he spent the night in the same hotel room as the rabbi. There are some boundary problems here in this story. But the baker had to be back in Chelm earlier than the rabbi did, because bakers have to get up real early to bake the bread. So he rose early, before the sun had come up, trying very hard not to wake the rabbi. And he dressed himself by the light of the moon, with just a little bit of light to see with. And he got all the way to the train station, ready to take that early train, when he caught sight of himself, a reflection in the window. And he saw that he was wearing the rabbi's coat. And he thought to himself, that innkeeper, I told him to wake me up and he woke the rabbi up instead. But after this, he had a lot of problems. The baker had a lot of problems trying to resolve who he was. Was he the rabbi? Was he the baker? He was very confused. And he thought to himself, well, I'm just going to make sure I always wear the baker's clothes, I always wear the baker's hat, and in this way I will remember who I am. But you might or you might not know that in a traditional Jewish community, it is customary to take a bath every single week, to take a long, restful, relaxing bath in preparation for the Sabbath. At the communal baths, where everybody in the community shares access to this very luxurious spa situation. It's quite lovely. And so each week he would have to go take a bath, and he didn't wear the baker's clothes into the bath, and he didn't wear the baker's hat into the bath, and so he would get worried, who am I when I come out of this bath? So he got a red piece of thread and he tied it around his ankle. And in this way, he thought to himself, all right, I'm going to remember, the baker wears a red thread around his ankle no matter what he's doing. So when I get out of the bath, I'll look down and I'll see the thread and I'll know that I'm the baker. And this worked for a while. But eventually, all knots come loose. There's no perfect knot, friends. So one day, he got up out of the bath and the knot had come loose, the thread had fallen away, and he thought to himself again, well, who am I? And meanwhile, the rabbi, everybody has to share these baths. It's a lovely place, but, they hold it in common. The town maintains it together. The rabbi went to the bath, and he found this nice red thread, like somebody just left this here. It's a good length, and it's a strong piece. It's got a nice, lovely red color to it, and he thought, okay, but, he's in the bath, so he doesn't have any pockets for understandable reasons. So he thought, well, just make sure that I don't lose it. So he tied it around his ankle, and he was coming out of the baths while the baker was over here worrying about who he was, and he looked down at the rabbi's ankle, and he said, well, you must be the baker, which means I must be the rabbi. And the rabbi said, no, I don't think you've got that right, friend. And they went back and forth about it a while until finally the rabbi was just like, look, here, have the thread. So the baker was still having a problem about this, and he decided when he got up each day, he was just going to be whoever the first person told him to be. He couldn't make the decision for himself anymore. And so he got up one morning and he was walking to work thinking, I don't even know if I really have a job because I'm not sure who I am. And he ran into the butcher. And the butcher greeted him very warmly because it was Hanukkah and he was in a very good mood. And he said, Baker, I'm so glad to see you. Could you bake some extra cookies today because I want to get some cookies for my children to celebrate Hanukkah with. And the baker fell on his knees and thanked the butcher for telling him who he was, and he was so happy to know and have confidence about it. And he thought to himself, we've been having this argument back and forth about which light is greater, the sun or the moon. But now I see the butcher's perspective on this, because the sun is beautiful and bright, but it's just doing what it does. The hard work is in reflecting that light back at the earth. So the moon really is working harder than the sun. And he said all of this to the butcher and thanked him and told him that he had won the argument. And the butcher was surprised and didn't really know what to make of it. But the baker said, here, I don't need this thread anymore. And he gave it to the butcher. And the butcher was walking home, and on his way home, he started to see the baker's perspective. The sun, when it comes up, it tells everybody in town what to do. They wake up, they start their day, they start their jobs. It's a really important function. So I think the baker was right, that the sun is the most important light in the sky. And at the end of the day, after a work day, he got home to his children, and his children were making candles for the holiday. You need candles to celebrate Hanukkah. And they said, Dad, do you have any string? I said, oh yeah, I've got this red string, here you go. And they cut it up into so many pieces, and they dipped it into the wax, and they made candles for Hanukkah. And that night, they celebrated the holiday by the light of the candles made with that string. And neither the butcher nor the baker cared about the argument about which light was brighter or more important anymore, because the only light that really matters is the light of the love that we share with the people that we care about. So, some of us in this room are Jews, many of us are not. I understand that. If you are not, and it is not your custom to light the candles on this holiday, I invite you to join me in mine. So, Kelly is going to help us by lighting the candles for this, the seventh night of Hanukkah. I will share the two prayers that we say on this night. The first is a blessing for the act of lighting the candles. Yep. You can go ahead and start. Yeah, it takes a little while. The first blessing is the blessing for the act of lighting the candles themselves. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Hanukkah. And the second prayer is the prayer to celebrate the season and the miracles associated with it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, bayamim hahem shel Hanukkah. Amen. Thank you, friends.
Let's sing, O Little Town of Bethlehem. You can sing in Hebrew if you like. I'm going to sing in English. O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in thy dark streets shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary, and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wandering love. O morning stars together proclaim the holy birth. Let praises ring from God, they bring goodwill to all on earth. How silently wonders made known, when God imparts to human hearts a gift that is our own. No ear may hear that coming, but in this worldly din, when souls are truly humble, then the dear maid rests within.
What can we say about Rudolph? He was excluded by the other reindeer. They did not let him play with them. We may feel confident that they made fun of him and his red nose. It is possible that Rudolph was hurt by all of this. He was on the outside. The other reindeer had a special relationship with Santa Claus. They were the elite. Dancer, Dasher, Prancer, Comet, Blitzen, fine names, sturdy names, bespeaking solidarity, stability, education, training, ability, access to the very best. These reindeer were strong and fast. Rudolph was smaller, and his only distinctive feature was that shiny red nose. It seemed to have a glow about it. It made the young Rudolph a figure of fun. Still, maybe he was content to be red-nosed all by himself. He probably muttered more than once, "I don't care, let them have all the fun. I can have fun by myself." Did Rudolph wish to be included? We don't know. Probably he did, for it is the deepest wish of all creatures to belong and to be accepted. So what happened? On that foggy Christmas Eve, Santa realized Rudolph could make the difference in guiding the sleigh. Rudolph could lead them through. Rudolph's special trait was his shiny red nose. It was this nose, this trait, that was needed. So Santa goes to little Rudolph and asks him to guide the sleigh, actually to lead it. He would be in front of the others. Because their mission of getting Christmas to the children of the world was so important, it became necessary to rethink past practices. When Rudolph was asked, "What do you think he said?" We don't know. That part's not recorded. We know he didn't say, "Sorry, I can't, I'm too little." He didn't say, "Me? Now you want me? The others make fun of me." He didn't say, "Okay, too bad. Now that you ask me, I've got something else to do. This isn't fair." And he didn't say spitefully, "Get somebody else, let big old Dancer do it." He didn't say, "Guess what? I hope you crash, you and all the others." So we have a classic story of the insiders excluding the newcomer and making fun of his difference. It happens all the time in schoolrooms and playing fields and classes and society. We say they just don't have it, and if they do, well, we got here first, we don't have to let them in. But he just did it. He led the sleigh through. He did the job. It was a hard job, but he did it. And then what happens? All the reindeer loved him. What does this little story, this bit of fun mean? What is its moral? Well, here's some possible meanings. Anybody can serve. We need everyone to be a part of the team. Even the strangest, or what we might label strange, and the smallest, all have a contribution to make. The mission is more important than our personalities. There are perhaps others, and maybe you can think of some. And maybe you will remember them every time you hear his song.
This came upon the midnight clear, number 244. Let's rise in body and or spirit to sing this together. It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. He sung
thoughts from Joan Chittister. Christmas is a strange season. When you're a child, it is a season of presents. When you're young, it's a season of parties. When you get your own home, it's a season of preparation. But when you get older, Christmas changes color drastically. Suddenly, out from behind the advertisements and the big dinners, through the haze of old carols and soft candles, we begin to see what Christmas is really all about. Christmas is about finding life where we did not expect life to be. Every year of life waxes and wanes. Every stage of life comes and goes. Every facet of life is born and then dies. Every good moment is doomed to become only a memory. Every perfect period of living slips through our fingers and disappears. Every hope dims, and every possibility eventually turns to dry clay. Until Christmas comes again. Then we are called at the deepest, most subconscious, least cognizant level to begin to live again. Christmas brings us all back to the crib of life to start over, aware of what has gone before, conscious that nothing can last, but full of hope that this time, finally, we can learn what it takes to live well, grow to full stature of soul and spirit, get it right. There is a child in each of us waiting to be born again. It is to those looking for life that the figure of the Christ, that child, beckons. Christmas is for those who refuse to give up and grow old, for those to whom life comes newly each and every day, for those who can let yesterday go, so that life can be full of new possibility always. For those who are agitated with newness, whatever their age. Life is for the living. For those in whom Christmas is a feast without finish, a celebration of the constancy of change, a call to begin once more the journey to human joy and holy meaning.
I invite you now into a time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously in support of the ideals we cherish. Our gifts from this and all of our holiday services this year provide a great deal of the funding that runs Just Dane's eviction prevention program. Sometimes the difference between a family being out on the street or staying in their home can be a little bit of help. With your help, Just Dane and Joining Forces for Families are helping people to prevent eviction and homelessness. There are several ways that you can contribute this evening. There are baskets now being passed in order to take up your cash or checks. You'll also see on the screen that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org. Find the text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together.
Spring
we stand with eyes toward the east, awaiting the rising of the star, and pray that love shall become flesh and dwell among us, and that compassion shall be born in human hearts.
Let us be still in the darkness of our sacred space and listen to the quiet around us, for even in the quiet, there is the gentle being with others.
Let us feel the warmth of our community, knowing we are not alone, for in the quiet shadow is the glow of life within all.
Let us know in the darkness the gift each candle bears, a small flame, a diminutive light, yet the wondrous gift to kindle another's glow.
Let us be in awe at this moment as we each take up the flame and the light envelops this room as hope for peace and goodwill fill this night.
Tonight, in this community, we have shared stories, sung carols, opened our hearts to the beauty of music. Tonight, we have turned to one another, lighting each other's candles in the dark. Tonight, we have dared to hear a message of hope spoken once again against the challenge of the world. It is time now to extinguish your candles and depart, to go forward to our lives and to the world.
May you carry this light with you in your heart as you go. May joy be your companion, whether you are with others or alone. May love be your strength, and may the gift of community dwell in your heart. On this night of deep darkness and indestructible hope, we wish you peace, goodness, and joy this night and always. Good night, Merry Christmas, peace and goodwill to you all.
sure you're trying to tell me something important.